Welcome to the Sierra Commons Food Foundry series. Sierra Commons is a rural business educator and igniter specialized, focused around Nevada County, but also the surrounding counties. And we work with all kind of businesses. I specifically work with food businesses. So if you want more information about Sierra Commons, please go to sierracommons.org. Today's recording is three female entrepreneurs, three women entrepreneurs, three completely diverse, different. Oh my God, we've got a home-based food business, we've got brick and mortar, we've got good old packaged consumer packaged goods. So I'm going to introduce you to the three of our guests today with a slide, and that's just going to be momentarily because really, folks, I want you to see who these people are. So they'll introduce themselves. But I'm going to just go to these slides real quickly so you can get a sense of who they are. And then we'll go back to just the group of us talking. Can you see the slide with Tara Sanders? Awesome. Okay. So this is Tara Sanders of Dále Vino. Do I have that pronunciation right, Tara?
You do, thank you.
Give them wine. So you opened your brick and mortar wine bar in Pittsburgh, California, waterfront, mind you. This is
Yes,
out in Contra Costa County, but it is a waterfront wine bar. And you've been owning and operating this wine bar since September 2022.
correct. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. The next one up, let me see. Oh, it's always a, there we go. Hannah Perry is the owner and founder of Floof Cotton Candy. Now, we think of cotton candy as something we ate when we were kids at a fair, but Hannah has turned it into an art form, a craft, a cake, lollipops, all sorts of. And Hannah is currently a cottage foods, home-based business. So we've got a little bit of diversity there from brick and mortar to home-based. Last but not least, we've got Michelle Pusateri of Joes Granola, a consumer packaged good, organic, made, not co-pack, right? You're making it yourself in your own production facility. Oh my God, lot to learn here. So that's the basics of our three guests tonight. Different paths, different businesses, and definitely making impact in the food world. I'm honored to know each of you, and I'm really excited to have you here tonight. So with that in mind, let's do kind of what we just did, but in your own words. Give us, the 2 to 3 minute who you are, what your business is, maybe a little bit of your background. I'm going to start to the side here on my screen. That's Tara Sanders. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and Dale Vino?
All right. So Dále Vino is located in the Pittsburgh, California marina. And I opened right as we were transitioning out of the pandemic, which a lot of people are surprised I would do that. But I had found a wonderful waterfront space that is a little off the beaten path from downtown. It's very close, but very far. You have to have a reason to kind of go there versus the main drag. But it was beautiful and always loved wine. A lot of my friends are winemakers or somms. And so I had this idea of my community deserves something beautiful. And I think Pittsburgh is often overlooked because it is, a blue collar town. And so I think it's often overlooked for wonderful opportunities. And I wanted to do something great for my own community. So opened the first wine bar ever in the city of Pittsburgh. And now it's really catapulted into something I didn't even think would be possible. We do everything there from wine tastings and meet the winemaker events to paint and sips to floral arrangement classes. We do frosting and fizz, cake decorating classes. It's really, really neat. And one thing that I'm really proud of that I did not realize would be such a successful part of the business model are all of the private parties that we do. We do
Mm.
everything from weddings to 40th and 50th birthday parties, anniversaries, bridal showers, and the location is so beautiful, and our wine list is so phenomenal. It's a natural fit, but I didn't realize it would be such a big part of the business, and so I love it. It's been a beautiful experience, hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but worth every moment.
Well, thank you for that intro. I was fortunate enough to be there on your grand opening
Yeah,
launch. And yeah, Pittsburgh has a charm. The downtown,
yeah,
like a lot of towns in Northern California, has a charming, sort of main street. And then you, of course, have the waterfront to add to that. So it sounds like you've pivoted. I'm going to put a little pin in that word pivot, and we'll get back to you in a little bit with more questions. Michelle, tell us a little bit about Nana Joe's and your whole trajectory and evolution there.
Yeah, so Nana Joe's Granola started in 2010. We self-manufacture inside the city limits of San Francisco, which is wild. We built out our manufacturing facility in 2012 and have been kind of rocking and rolling ever since. We're in about 1,000 doors, and we make gluten-free, certified organic granola, and we are woman-owned and still self-funded. So.
I don't know if you've recently upped your social media game, Michelle, or if I've just tuned into it and it's showing up in my feed.
I hired somebody about 7 months ago, and she's doing a really, really great job at doing these cute little videos and really, showing our product the way that we want to show our product. We just launched a waffle cone granola, so it's the first to market ever waffle cone flavored granola. We don't use any artificial natural sweeteners or natural flavors. Everything is all whole food ingredients, which we're super proud of. A lot of them are farm direct. We do a lot of regenerative sourcing, and we have really good relationships with the farmers. And we use Jacobson sea salt out of Oregon, which gives it that like little crunch and flavor of salt that really amps and up levels our flavor profiles.
Well, thank you for that. And yeah, that
Yeah,
I know the building you're in, that's a gorgeous building.
I love it so much.
A lot
I'm
of
so lucky.
artists, food makers,
Yeah,
chocolatiers, production, manufacturing, yeah, printers, yeah, really creative space you're in.
yeah.
Okay, Hannah, tell us about Floof.
Well, I can't wait to try that granola. Seriously, it sounds amazing. And I need to visit your wine bar. So, very happy to be on this panel. My name's Hannah Perry. I'm the owner and founder of Floof Cotton Candy. And I've been in business for 5 years now. We started right when the pandemic started,
Mm.
and it's evolved and we pivoted. Um, I'm a single mom. I needed to get on my own 2 feet. I was going through a separation, and I've always wanted to start a cotton candy company. And I started with my cotton candy cart. And in the kitchen, I created this cotton candy cake, which is a cake made entirely out of cotton candy, but it slices just like a piece of cake. And, we make our own sugar bases. Everything is, homemade. And once I made this cake, I knew it was going to be my thing. And it sort of worked out really well with the pandemic, people needing things shipped to their home. TikTok was just starting, and so I started posting on TikTok and was able to just rapidly grow, went viral there multiple times, and that has just led us to where we are now. So we ship nationwide. I have a cottage food permit now, although 1 or 2 years ago, I think it was last year, is when we stopped. I had a kitchen, small kitchen in a storefront, and I didn't need the storefront. So anyway, it cottage food is definitely for me. If you can stay cottage food for as long as possible, that's what I would tell everyone, because I just have the product that lends itself to be able to do that. So, with my social media like experience and having so many failures and experience in social media, now I have a Floof Media branch of my business where I'm helping business owners and big companies with their content strategy.
Mm.
I'm working with GoDaddy right now and J.C. Penney. I just did a pitch for them. So it's led me to new things, but I still love Floof and I still do events with my Floof cart. And yeah, still love cotton candy. We're still going.
So, okay, so I have five questions that I ask all entrepreneurs, and they involve, the motivation to just kind of go for it, big surprises, tips on working with people. I don't want to give you too much information about that because I don't want you to be thinking about your answer. But one of the things that always comes up is pivot.
Mm.
And I'm just going to stick with you, Hannah. You must have pivoted several times. If you were cottage, then you went to the retail, now you're back in cottage, and now I always thought you were. Tell us again how many social media followers you have. Don't be shy.
I mean, across platforms, I have about over 250,000 followers, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. So yeah, I
So
have a
you
great.
know how to make content that connects with people.
Yes, and I really it was so bad. I look at my early days of content and I'm like, wow. But that's one of the skills that I found through building my business is I I can stay consistent with this and be good at this, and it has led me to new opportunities or like partnerships
Hmm.
with brands that I just didn't think would get that opportunity. I did one. I'm not trying to like name drop, but I did one with Ring cameras, and they were trying to focus on marketing towards small business owners. So I've been able to be this like small business owner, like person to go to when they're needing, their brands or their products marketed, which has been really fun.
I always thought that you'd be good at social media for other companies, but but you got to find your way in. And maybe making cotton candy for a number of years, you decided it's time to pivot to getting to the heart of other people's, the passion of their business, so you can help capture that maybe.
Yeah, I'm really in the middle of a pivot right now. Loving Floof and having it be able to run a little bit more on its own and going, wait, this is where my passion lies, and this is what I have a strength where a lot of people don't like to do content. And for some reason, I can do it and I like it and it energizes me. So yeah, I'm pivoting towards that, and I find a lot of joy in helping other people.
The concept of I want to tie in the concept of pivot because Tara, you opened a wine bar, but you were talking about, events and
Mhm.
on-site and buy. Now, was that a pivot or was that just part of that the fearless quality that you had to dig up inside yourself to open your own business? Like, was that part of the plan, or do you think that was more of a pivot, listening to your customers, or a little of both?
A little bit of both. I mean, I knew I wanted to do specialty events. That was already going to be a part of it because wine and music on the water. I mean, who doesn't want a live band or a DJ and you get to sit out in the sun and drink great wine? I mean, that was just a given. But I was surprised by how many people were approaching me to do partnerships. In the beginning, it was like, okay, I've got to find some folks. But then it was just the business just got really popular. And again, social media was a huge part of that. And while it was by design, I did not know how much partnerships would turn into events constantly. And what I realized right off the bat is that people want an experience. When they go out, they can go somewhere and eat and then just go somewhere else and grab a drink or go somewhere else for live music versus
Mhm.
if I can have a whole experience for them, they're going to spend their entire evening there. They're going to get some great French bread pizza from us or some charcuterie. They're going to get their bottle of wine and they're going to stay there and listen to the music and they're going to dance with their date and they're going to see all of the other events. And so I realized pretty quickly we'd have an event and we'd be packed. And then on the nights we didn't have an event, still get business, but nothing like the event night. So I had to be really intentional about what are the lighter lifts that still have a great return. Because if you're doing music every weekend or multiple nights a week, that can be a heavy lift. But if you're bringing in a cake decorating instructor and
Uh,
selling tickets on Eventbrite, and that's bringing 30 people in on a Friday evening, and they're going to be there with a captive audience for, 3 hours. It's like you start to figure out, okay, here are the lighter lifts that have a greater return. And that's really where I've tried to focus. And again, the private parties, the weddings, the bridal showers, all of those beautiful moments that we get to host.
Um, okay, thank you. So Michelle, I know the answer to this question because I've interviewed you before. So you shared with me that overcoming whatever finding that fearless quality to start your own business, your sports background gave you that, again, that word pivot gave you the ability to kind of react in the moment and really just kind of be in the split second. Tell us a little bit about that because I think that's really unique, to hear how a sports background is helpful in a food business.
Yeah, I mean, I think I played soccer for 18 years, and then when I started Nana Joe's, and the reason why I started Nana Joe's Granola was because I wanted to have something that fueled my surfing adventures, right? And I found that there was a lot of just sugary stuff on the market, and it wasn't working for me or for what I was doing. And when you're out in the water, it's really, really hard for you not to like focus exactly on what you're doing, but you don't know what's coming your way, right? And just case in point, on Sunday I was out and the tide was going out, and there was these sets of waves that were coming through that were a lot bigger than the sets that like the regular normal sets. And I got caught on this wave and I thought I was okay. And I went straight over the waterfall. Like it was like a 4 or 5 foot wave. And I just, it like pitched me. We weren't in that much water. So I got like pinned to the ground of the ocean. And I really feel that those experiences and being able to, pivot in that moment of, okay, that was not what I planned, but it's what happened. So how do I recover from this? And I think there's a lot of that in everyday life, right? Like I just started riding an e-bike to work, and I'm constantly having to watch what's happening around me
Sure.
constantly. Like people are stopping, they're turning, there's kids, and it's like, it's always something. And I think that, when I played soccer for 18 years, I really I played defense, and you just didn't know what was going to happen at any moment. Like somebody could get the ball and like go for it. And then you would have to try to stop them to be able to get, so they don't score a goal. And I find that in business, there's a lot of that, right? You have to kind of like make those decisions quickly, and sometimes you don't make the right decision, but it's that recovery that matters the most. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, they scored a goal, and then be down on yourself the whole time and not give yourself the grace to be like, okay, I made a bad decision. Let's continue on. And I think that's one of the things that kind of correlates with sports and running a business, and being able to pivot in that way.
Okay, connected to decisions
Yeah.
is the element of surprise, because you just talked about the surprise in sports. I'm going to
Yeah.
go back to you, Tara. What were the biggest surprises that, when you started your own business? What were some of your biggest surprises?
Oh, that's a good question because there were a lot. Um, I am very fortunate that I have absolutely phenomenal staff. Like
Oh,
my staff are just fantastic people. They're great at what they do. Um, but I was surprised how just you have to have them there to make it work. Like it does not work without them. And I think I knew that, but it wasn't until we had an issue where we couldn't find staff for an event. And it was so stressful. And it really just kind of reminded me like, you better take very good care of these people and continue taking very good care of these people because this does not work without them. Um, Something else that I found surprising is the joke that the customer's always right. I don't believe that. And I had to be really intentional about that with my philosophy. At Dále Vino, we have a rule that everyone deserves respect because you were born. Everyone deserves respect. And I don't let anyone mistreat my staff under any
oh,
circumstances.
I love that.
And yeah, I mean, I will step in, a manager will step in. And we haven't had many issues occur. Um, it was surprising that something that I had thought my whole life, the customer's always right, that I found I didn't agree with. I didn't believe it. Um, because kindness is important and being good to people is important. And we have a no hierarchy rule as well at the bar. Yes, we have managers, but the idea of everybody does everything. I will take out the trash. I will get back in the kitchen and start making food if the kitchen gets backed up. It's the idea of we all pull our weight, and no one is above or beneath anyone. And I think other people found that surprising because it's why some of my staff are still there 4 years later, and why it's such a close knit type of culture we have there. Even with our guests, people feel like it's their place, and I think it's because they know what our culture is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm blanking on the name of the big famous department store in England, but the founder of it actually, we just studied this for a management session I did with one of the food accelerators. And Henry or Harry, oh my gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. He actually didn't say the customer is always right. He said the customer is always right in matters of taste.
Mm-hmm.
Very different when you add those other four words.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's become that the customer is always right. And we also went on to study modern day management philosophy, like anything from Disney to the Danny Meyer restaurant group to the Zingerman's model. And they really have a lot around your staff and how you
Mhm.
treat your staff and the customer experience, as opposed to the customer being right, the customer experience. Danny Meyer's thing is, what memories are we creating? Great.
Yeah.
We had a record number of covers last night. Our sales were really good. How many new memories did we create in our customers' lives, you know? So, well, so how about you, Hannah? What was some of your biggest surprises in starting Floof?
Oh gosh, I mean, I didn't ever have I don't have entrepreneur experience or wanting to do this. It really, I think a lot of us we like find ourselves here and now we're here and it's like um I really still struggle with hiring and staff and um that was surprising like when you start getting bigger and then you need help and now all of a sudden you're like a manager, but I feel still like I want, so surprising in growing, it was, challenging to grow. I think when I see these companies and they're like big, I'm like, oh, well, they did it. It's easy. It's like those growing pains. It's actually not easy to grow. You know, it just adds, more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so okay, Tara, you just gave us some great tips on working with people. Michelle,
Yeah,
you've got a production facility. You're also working with people.
I am.
Interesting. There's not the front of house, back of house, sort of thing,
Mm.
or is in a wine bar or a restaurant.
Yeah.
But you've got a production facility. I almost said faculty.
Yeah.
Tell us about what are some tips, surprises, pivots you've had to maneuver in working with people.
Yeah, I mean, most of my production staff have been with me since I opened up the facility in 2012, and we've just built on it, and I'm really proud of that. We did have some front of the house. We had farmers markets for a long
Oh, okay.
while, for about
Right.
10 years. So did have some front of the
Okay.
house. Um, I think, one of the things that really, really surprised me is there was a shift and a pivot in not only like the respect, but the trust that my team had with me when the pandemic hit, because I think they always knew that I was on their side and that I was there to be helpful and that I was there to take care of them. But I think when the pandemic hit, I think there was a switch in how much they believed that story, because we hear stories all the time, and I think unless there's some action behind it, and when you're every day coming into work doing things, and I think you have to look at things differently when you're in a situation, in a crisis situation. And during the pandemic, those first couple of months, I was like, I'm going to do anything and everything I can. I don't know when we're going to get closed down, if we're going to get closed down. We were essential business. I'm here to protect you. Every single day I went up to each person. How are you feeling? Do you still feel safe coming to work? We did a carpool program. We just made sure that everybody, like PPE, I provided that for all of our staff. I had downstairs, I had somebody make us stuff, and I was really mindful of really checking in. And, about 3 months into the pandemic, I really realized that they were looking to me now in a different way. Like I was almost like a nurturing founder instead of just this person who writes their checks and pays their
Yeah.
bills, right? And I really it was also very altering for me too, and in a lot of ways of really discovering who I was as a leader, and who I initially wanted to be was totally different than who I am now because
Yeah.
of going through that situation. And we look at it, and I mean, there's a story, and I don't know if I'm going to take up too much time telling it, but my father passed away in 2011. He worked in multifamily housing. He was always gone, always traveling. And I never really knew the impact he made on people's lives until 800 people from all over the world showed up at his funeral. And when that happened, I really realized the importance of community, and I realized the importance of showing up for other people, even when you can't show up for yourself sometimes. And there are times when I'm reeling and the P&L is driving me mad and I don't know where we're going to get money. But I have to show up for my team and show them the compassion and the empathy and really listen to them and really like check in every single, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? And I think like our hiring process, nobody gets hired in our establishment and unless everybody wants them hired. So they come in for a trial, they talk to everybody. And I think that's also created this close knit group of people and team members. So
How many people do you have working at Nona Joe's?
I have 9 now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So not a lot, but
I know that Tara has to leave early because she's in a brick and mortar. So I kind of want to move into a couple of questions and I'll direct them to you and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Obviously, Michelle, you've experienced ingredients and distribution and costs and delivery pre-COVID and then during COVID. Tara, you opened after COVID. Tell us a little bit about Michelle just referred to the P&L. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Somebody recently one of the food makers I work with recently posted a picture of a little girl with her hands in dough going, this is the person you think knows how to read, QuickBooks. They were referring to their younger self. And,
That's cute.
and so, but, tell us about your experience with, I don't know, what are the fluctuating ingredients, wines, beers, the foods that you use? Tell us your experience with that aspect of the business.
One thing, a philosophy that I have in life, and I've really been intentional about this with Dále Vino, is keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. If things start getting too complicated, we've done something wrong. And so I've been really intentional about we only change our wine list. We do maybe once a quarter, and it'll be maybe a couple of wines, 4 wines, 5, but we don't do anything extensive. We did an overhaul, and then our main distributor was pulling out of California 3 months after we did a major overhaul. And it was a learning lesson of like, okay, like when you're going to be doing this, you need to be really intentional and keep it simple. Same thing with our food. Food really wasn't my focus. It was a beautiful wine list. And I have cooks who are just fantastic. And they said, Tara, I know you want to keep it simple, but I think we need to just evaluate our food. And I said, okay, you come with the ideas, you let me know what you want to do and we'll go from there. And, it took some trial and error, but we ended up updating our food menu really successfully. And the food is much better and people are much happier with it. But I mean, things are constantly fluctuating and I like the shortest distance to success. I mean, it's a long road and I understand that. But if I can put systems in place and protocols and processes into place to keep things simple, everybody stays happier, whether that's our inventory management, our food, wine ordering, whatever that looks like. And one thing that I'm really proud of, and I still focus on with the keep it simple, is I believe in a strengths-based approach. So if someone is really good at something, I have them do that. I do believe it's important to work on your areas of opportunity. Don't get me wrong. But if one of my cooks is really good at something, I'm going to have her make the recipes for that and share them with the staff. If one of my managers is really good, like one of my managers is in school full time for graphic design, she's about to graduate. She started doing all of our flyers for all of our events and did an internship and got academic credit. And I work full time in education, so I always advocate for education. But I looked at, what are these people's strengths? And I used that as a part of the philosophy of keep it simple. And that helped with our food inventory, our management, our wine program. I mean, all of it. If you meet people where they are, a lot of times you're going to get a lot more from them because they're happy doing what they're doing.
And it sounds like they get this experience of, if one night it's a special cake decorating course and another night it's the music outside and another night it's a buyout for a, wedding party or a celebration, they really have an experience of every no 2 days are alike.
Yep, exactly. We actually, it's this early spring, so things are slow this time of year, and we had a huge night last Thursday for R&B night, which is always the last Thursday of the month, and it was our newest server's first time on her own. She'd shadowed for 2 shifts, but I knew she was strong.
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing. She'd managed a couple of bars before, and we were getting our butts handed to us. I mean, it was like 200 people at once. And I
Wow.
looked at her and I said, "Do you still want to work here?" And she said, "Oh," she goes, "This is way more fun than any other job I've ever had." And
Okay.
I was like, that was her answer. And I was like, see, like culture and the way we do things here is important.
That can be the downside of an event when everyone shows up at the same time. I'm going to skip over some of the questions for you, but I'm going to I'm going to ask you before you go, what do you do to avoid burnout?
Whew, I, I was speaking at a women's conference a week ago and got that question. And I'm going to say the exact same thing I said then. I am really strict about my boundaries and about when I do and don't communicate because I do work full time and I have the brick and mortar. And my rules are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I will engage with customers, people doing private parties. That is my time. And after that, do not disturb goes on so that I can spend time with my family. I can
Yeah.
take a deep breath. Um, if we need to close because we need to do a staff appreciation or spend some time together or something, we'll close the bar. I don't like to close it often, but I have to make decisions, as Michelle alluded to, and Hannah. Sometimes you make the right one, sometimes you don't. But I know that my well-being and personal health is really important, as is that of my staff. And so, if it's going to a point that it's not manageable, we just don't do it.
Yeah. I'm in a good friend of mine moved from Phoenix to Portland and opened a wine bar. It's just her and her boyfriend. She's the wine person, the boyfriend's the chef. I'm going to ask them to watch this session because I think she'll learn a lot. I think you would like her. This is for you, Chantel. Thank you, Tara, so much. I know you've got to go. I
You
know you've got customers. Really nice having you, and we hope to have you participate in the Q&A if it's possible when this goes on to our YouTube channel.
Thank you for having me. I
It
appreciate
was
it.
nice meeting you and learning from you.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
And then there were three. So, okay, let me run this past you, Hannah. Was there a point when you almost gave up?
Yeah, yeah, how many? How long do we have? Um, yeah, yes. I'm trying to remember exactly when. I was having a lot of issues with my landlord,
Ah,
and there was I was having gonna have to pay out. It's just the financial stress is definitely, the ups and downs of having your own business. Like there's gonna be downs and then there's gonna be ups. And you really have to like find the gratitude in all of it. And when I just had a really hard moment the other day, and I was like, at least I'm in pajamas right now. Like, at least I'm wearing what I want to wear while I do this really hard thing. So that's what's helped me get through those times. But yeah, the financial stress, there's been times when I'm like, I think I just need a 9 to 5 just for some level of stability. I'm also a single mom. So I'm like, maybe that's the solution to finding stability. But, I think you can find that within yourself, like wherever you are. And um, I'm grateful I've continued to push on.
well, let's talk about this for a second. Working in your pajamas. So many people have transitioned to working at home, and we think of those are mostly desk jobs, right? We don't think about food being made at home. And cottage foods are, I know that there's a huge thriving community of cottage foods because I work with a lot of them, and
Mhm.
my feed and my Instagram and everything is filled with these companies. But they can be hard to find, right? If I Google cottage foods, I get a link to the permit at the county. I don't
Right.
always get the names of the interesting companies.
Mm.
So here are all these people that can sometimes they cook on a Tuesday for a Wednesday pickup. My barber used to have a coffee roasting business in her home. She was in Oakland. She moved to the Eastern Sierras and eventually built it out of her house. But there's so many types of businesses from bread to cotton candy to bakeries to roasting coffee, roasting nut butters.
Nuts.
Public
Yeah, it's
doesn't
nuts.
often think about that. Those people can work from home in their
Mhm.
pajamas or whatnot. Did you know much about cottage foods before you got into this? Or
No,
home-based businesses, I should say?
yeah, For me, it was always cotton candy. That was a seed was planted a long time ago. I think it's
Okay.
magical. I'm also like 1 tablespoon of sugar is $5. Then they sell it for $5. It's just a different
Yeah.
form. Like the business brain of me was like, this is brilliant.
Right.
The fact that it is a cottage food, it's on the list. And the fact that, I guess 5 years ago, I think it was six, maybe, you would know, they were now allowing cottage food to ship is
Yeah.
when I was
Big,
like,
big difference.
I can make this a business. If
Yeah.
if if it was just gonna be home stuff, I don't think I would have given it my all like I did. But the ability to ship nationwide with cottage
Yeah.
food, massive opportunity. And I think a lot of cottage food businesses are not publicly sharing that they're cottage food. I mean, they have to on their labels and things like
Yeah.
that. But, I mean, yeah, I don't publicly share.
Right.
I'm cottage food. I don't have to,
Well,
but
and you wouldn't want the public to know that you were cottage foods, then you had a facility, then you went back to like you don't want people
yeah,
in on your the pivots.
yeah,
They
I have to
just
deal
want
with
the product.
that.
I mean, if you're a restaurant and you move from one location to another, people have to know that. I mean, Michelle, if you ever move to a bigger or a different facility, you're going to want to minimize the awareness or the uncertainty in your customers' minds. Am I right?
I don't know. I mean, I think I would probably talk about it online. I'm pretty transparent, so I think I would probably talk about it. If it was a move within San Francisco, definitely talk about it.
Sure.
We're so San Francisco based. If I had to move outside of the city, I think I would probably wait until we were more settled to talk about
Yeah.
why. But we're pretty transparent online on a lot of things, on where we manufacture, why we manufacture within the city limits of San Francisco.
That's true. I guess now, as soon as I said that, I realized you're right. A lot. That's how you let people in, right?
Yeah,
Especially
yeah,
with social
Yeah. And
media.
I shared too when we left the space. I was like, hey, because it's like now people want to know the business owner and they trust
yeah,
us and our faces. And
yeah.
I just think that's why you can't probably find a lot of cottage food. And yeah, like
Well,
because
one of my cottage foods clients has a window at the Amoeba Records. It's called Ooey Chewy Cookies. They have these teeny little bite-sized cookies. You can only buy like 2 dozen at a time. And they have a window at the Amoeba Records just on Fridays and Saturdays for like 3 hours in the afternoon. And it's made from their cottage foods license. So, some cottage foods businesses sell at farmers markets. Some only sell direct. Some can, with the right, you can sell commercially. You can sell wholesale, although it's harder because you're typically a very hands-on, you don't have the benefit of scale to do
Mhm,
cottage foods, but you can sell wholesale with the cottage foods bee.
mhm.
The New York Times recently did a story on mostly bread bakeries that
I
started during
saw
the
that.
pandemic, and they're, six-figure businesses now. I mean, the sales limits for cottage foods B are significant. They're realistic. They used to be very low. A couple
Mhm,
of years ago, that was like 35,000 a year. Now it's 150. So those are the kind of problems you want to have. It's when you get to that level. I have my list of questions, but I also kind of want to just hear your process. And Michelle, tell me about the first location of Nana Joe's. How big was it? How many was it just you? Did you have a team of people? Like what were those early days like?
Yeah, the early days, we were renting from the JCC. We rented the Dairy Kitchen. The JCC is here in San Francisco, and I got hooked up with that because I was a pastry chef at Nopalito, right next to Faletti Foods, and the manager's wife was she made cookies and sold them there, and I was like, hey, I think I have this idea. And so I rented pretty quickly she was like, I think we have space at the JCC. So that's where I went first. And then I went to a commissary kitchen. And in that commissary kitchen, it was probably about 5,000 square feet. There were 4 businesses. Luke's Local was there, Batter Bakery. Some really cool businesses were there. And you had to like reserve oven time. There wasn't a lot of ovens, and granola's all oven, right? And
Right.
so I
Yeah.
quickly realized that they were bringing in a commissary within a commissary. So basically, they rented out the space to another commissary, and the commissary didn't have to schedule the times in the oven. And it just became too much. And I'm also a stickler with, food safety and where our products are being stored and who was taking our ingredients. And I realized that I didn't really play well with others in that aspect, because I'd be like, this is my oven time and I'm sorry that you can't get in there. And I decided that I wanted to start and open up a manufacturing facility within the city limits of San Francisco. There weren't a lot of them back then, and there's still not. And I went looking for space, and I knew of the space, the American Industrial, because I had visited when I was at the CIA. We had come down and visited Michael Riccuti, and I said, if I ever start a food business, this is where I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And I ended up full circle back at the American Industrial.
Yeah.
And then we added on space during the pandemic. We were given the opportunity to do another 4,000, or actually almost 2,000 square feet. So we're about 5,000 square feet total now.
That's nice. That is Michael Riccuti still making his chocolates down there?
Heck yeah, he is.
Nice. Here. Okay, I have a funny side story about Nopalito, which is just an amazing restaurant. My niece and nephew, let's see, their dad is American, their mother's German. They lived in the States for a while, but they spent most of their life in Germany. They were in the city. I was taking them to all the, Coit Tower and Golden Gate Park, and we were walking. They love Golden Gate Park, and they really wanted Mexican food. And I was so excited to take them to Nopalito. And they looked at the menu and they're like, "Where's the burritos?
Yeah.
Where's the tacos?" And I was like, "Well, burritos don't really exist in Mexico." And they just looked at me.
Yeah.
It was too upscale for them. I was trying to explain the nachos, like the nachos, they like dip them in the salsa and they have the Mexican cheese. It's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
gooey cheese. No, it's like real
The
Mexican.
topos. Yeah.
So I took them to a place where they could just get burritos and they were so happy.
Yeah.
And I
It's
realized,
more, Nopalito's more Oaxacan.
yeah, and I realized I probably just saved a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So okay, Hannah, what would you tell your younger self that you wish you had known about your business? Or it could be life. We can philosophize.
Oh, oh, that is a question I wish I could have prepped for. Um, something I tell myself now is it's like it's just cotton candy.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to say it's just granola because sometimes it doesn't feel like it's
No,
just granola.
I say that to myself all the
Okay,
time. Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm because I am a solo entrepreneur, so
Me
I have
too.
staff, but and a female. It's very lonely. It's
Yeah.
very lonely. And I'm also single, so I don't have a part. Like, I'm like, who do I turn to? It can feel very heavy and very lonely. And the customers can get mad and things are late and it's out of my control. But now they're, reviewing me. And it's like I really have to zoom out. And it's a skill to learn how to do that. And I still don't really know how, but
Yeah.
having those tools of taking the 5 minute meditation, deep breaths, because it's your life, it's your world, it's my brand. It's so entangled with who I am that when things go bad, it's really hard to separate. Like that's work, it's not just work. It's just not. So yeah.
Well, my hunch is, Michelle, your business has been around longer. Hannah, both of your businesses have clearly branded their way into the hearts and minds of your customers.
Yeah.
Like they've connected with your food.
Hmm.
It's important to them.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get mad, Hannah, if they didn't like it, if they didn't love it, you know?
Yeah.
Do you conscious because see, branding is one of those things like, oh, branding, that's for Haagen-Dazs, that's for big national companies. Do you
Mm-mm.
think about branding? Because I know social media I don't know, is social media branding? Is it marketing? Is it what are your thoughts there?
Oh yeah. I mean, for me, my everything is my brand, and it's everything I put out. Luckily it's easier when like what now I'm working with other people and I have to tap into, you know, what the goal is and, what colors they like. For me, it's me, it's an extension of me. So, I think that's when I really started to see success, and I'm interested to hear about you, Michelle, and I'm so excited to follow you on Instagram. But I started to find way more success when I was showing me and my story and the behind the scenes.
Same.
And people want to support female entrepreneurs, and it's so much easier for them to get behind the higher prices or the expensive shipping when they go, oh, but we're supporting this business. And oh, we like
Yeah.
her merch because we like, Floof in general. So yeah, I mean, my whole social media is very on brand. Always. Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts there, Michelle, or do I need to kind of rephrase the question or?
No, I mean, I think it is all like what you said, it's all brand, and it's all when people see me on videos or I do a LinkedIn post or I, talk out in public about our brand and what we're doing, it's a connection. Like if you look at how we've spent our money, we've spent very little on marketing. It's all been word of mouth. And when people try our granola, they come back to it. We have 85% customer return rate on our Shopify store. And it's also because we don't do ads. So you're seeing different metrics because we don't do those ads. But I really think that, you have to be really transparent, and you also have to like really show up in a really compassionate, mindful, empathetic way when people call and you know that they're just having the worst day possible, but somehow your granola just made it even worse. And you have to like talk people off the ledge and get them to really understand that you're a human too, right? And that we're all in this together. And I think that really creates this community of people that want to support your brand, that want to see you succeed. And a lot of that has to do with also my cup gets filled all the time with really being involved with other groups of entrepreneurs, because like you said, it is lonely. It's hard to look at somebody who doesn't and has never run a business. They all have advice for you, but you're like, dude, you've never done this before. And especially being a solopreneur that isn't funded by and backed by VC, and it's like your money that you're playing with, it's nobody else's. And I think that's a big difference in how to do it. I think one of the things that I would tell my younger self is like, I would probably have gotten investment right out of the gates. I think there was a difference there.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
mentioned that before. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for segueing into that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. You
Yeah.
maybe self-funded for too long, or it affected your own finances, your mental health, or both, or
I
what?
think everything, right? I mean, when you don't have money backing you up, there's a lot more at stake, number one. And number two, we've been on a very slow growth trajectory. We've only sold, close to $18 million of granola since 2010. That's not a lot considering that it's been 15 years. Our revenue yearly right now is 2.2, probably going to be 2.5 to 3 this year. So you're looking at that, and we didn't have that growth in any cost. So there are a lot of other brands who have gone up and over. But
Yeah.
I really feel like it's really, really important to do all of the steps when you're starting out and not just be that flash in a pan and just hit from 1 to 100, because inevitably you're going to have to go back down to 62. And if you don't know how to do that, then
Right.
you're going to be stuck and in that reeling. I think being an entrepreneur, and Hannah, you can chime in on this, but I really think you have to be 100% in. You can't be 99.7. You can't be 93. You have to be 100% in all times. And I really feel like for me, running the business like I have, I'm very proud of it. But now I'm also at that inflection point of what more could we do? We've hit the better for you movement and we're in a good place to really scale. And now it's kind of backtracking and starting to look for that investment. I think if I would have done it from the beginning, I think we would be in a much different place. And I don't know if that place would be the purposeful, mission, value driven place we're at now.
Yeah. Because
So
you're not beholden to the source of money
yeah,
and whatnot.
Yeah, but I think now I have more of an opportunity to really choose who I want to invest in us in a really more authentic way. We've had a lot of investors want to invest in us along the way, but you can't be organic was one of the ones that the investor we're actually going to take more percentage because you don't have the knowledge that you need to really drive this company at the signing table. And I was like, no, this
Yeah.
isn't the way that this goes, and I think there's just a lot that I've learned along the way, and really being able to sit in my values and sit in, if it doesn't fall in my values, I'm absolutely not going to do it. And that goes along with investors, money, everything. Putting money into ad spends. I want the money coming in to do good, and I want the money going out to do good. And how do I really sit in that transparent truth? So,
You mentioned some social groups that you work with. Is that like OSC?
yeah,
One
totally.
step
And then
closer. What is their website? OSC2.org?
osc2.org. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
one
we
step
just,
closer.
and
Yeah.
then we just became a member of the Purpose Pledge. It's a new initiative by Dr. Bronner's, almost like B Corp, but there's no certification. It's basically like what I'm working on, where I'm at with these 10 commitments, which is like product quality, your mission driven governance, your climate initiative. And it's all on a website, and it's got 3 years of everything that we're going to do. It's like putting your dirty laundry out there and being like,
Yeah.
here's where I'm at, and I think it's really cool. And I think it's going to change the way that people approach food businesses, because there are, and Hannah, you probably see this a lot. There's so much greenwashing out there that it's wild. People making the most absurd claims that nobody can really say isn't true. But I think we're headed and pivoted in a direction that's really pure. And going back to, like, one of the things that they said at Expo West this year was the innovation is no innovation. It's going back to the basics. It's going back to what we did, before all the packaged food, happened, and all the, before we were looking at like how to make it cheaper, what ingredients and fillers and preservatives. And I really think I think it's really cool. I think people are starting to look at food differently, budget for food differently. We're a country that spends 15% on our food budget when other countries spend up to 45. And it's like, where do we need to be spending our money, not only for the earth, the climate, but for our own personal health? And I think people are really starting to look at more of, well, it should be organic. Why am I eating glyphosates? And why am I doing these things that are hurting me? And I think, like with you, Hannah, with Fluff, I think that's really cool. Cotton candy is freaking amazing, right? And it's like, how do you, throw it out into the wild and be like, this is great. It's a sweet treat. Everybody deserves a sweet treat, right? And I really think that we need more of that balance, right? It doesn't have to be like one way or the other, but that balance of, here's people making some really great stuff, and how can we support them in a mindful way, even though they're in completely different categories. Does that make sense?
It does. And I'm dying. I don't know if you have any thoughts off the top of your head, Hannah. I'm dying to ask a question, but
Yeah,
if,
go ahead.
well, so you've experienced that, right? People have like pushed their way in there. People are like, it's flip. People are like stealing your brand name or your pro. It's like kettle chips, and now everybody makes kettle cooked. Well, I happen to know the owner of kettle chips, and he made them, and they were called kettle. Nobody did kettle chips. Now everybody has kettle cooked, right?
Yeah.
It's been decades now, but people are they're like chipping away at that concept of floof. Come on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's they have. I have, a trademark name, but people, Target just made a cotton candy cake, and, there's people out there doing it cheaper. They're not making their sugar bases like I am, and it's hard. It is. It's hard, and it hurts my heart, but it's keeping those consistent customers coming back again and again, and when they know our quality, like they can rely on that. And, we offer, it's gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, soy-free, egg-free, it's vegan, so it's like it's important to get in front of the right people who do want to pay the extra. Like for your granola, I'm assuming Michelle, like willing to pay
Totally.
that extra, which I'm like, I literally cannot wait to try it. I'd love to do a
Oh,
trade,
let's
so
do
we can
it.
try each other's things. But yeah, you just have to find the right people who are willing to, yeah, support your business.
Yeah, I think you just touched on a really important point of not trying to do everything for everybody, but really finding the people in your niche to be able to flourish and to be able to do what you do and be successful. I think when you try and market to the masses, I think that's when you get lost in the everyday and in the vortex of consumer packaged goods and food goods.
I love that all of you talk about your ingredients like they're your kids.
They are.
You know? Um, uh, I wish we had a visual here, but our listeners, our watchers, I should say, they can go to nanajoesgranola.com, or is it just nanajoes.com?
NanaJoes.com.
Okay. And they can go to floofcc.com.
Mhm.
Okay. Share us a little visual because I know a lot, I know both of your stories a little more, but tell us, Hannah, you know what I'm going to ask you about the unicorn bacon. Explain to folks what unicorn bacon is as an impetus for them to go
Yes.
peruse
You
your online story and visuals.
You love the unicorn
I
bacon,
do, I
and I
do.
love that you love it, and I love it too. I almost want to get something up on my Instagram. But so when we're making cotton candy, there's a rim of sugar that collects on the bowl,
Yeah,
and it's crunchy and super flavorful, and it looks like unicorn. It looks like bacon, but it's like rainbow. And so it's a byproduct of our product, and now we sell it as unicorn bacon. And people love it. People love it.
nice value add.
Yeah, it's hold on, I'm trying to find
Well,
a
the
video.
visual, it literally looks like a rainbow. I
Yeah,
mean, the
it's
visuals
magical.
of the color spectrum,
That's cool.
it's like the
Yeah,
dark.
here's
Yeah, yeah, look at that. So cool.
That's what I want you to send me.
okay.
Well,
Yeah, and it's fun.
I just realized, I'm sorry if I'm weaving in too much of my own story here. I just realized, Hannah, it triggered my own story when my first bakery, I had a sugar-free bakery in LA called Monty's Bakery in the 90s. And I got these mini bundt pans, like a little individual bundt cake. And I didn't fill them full enough, and I baked this banana batter, and it was fruit juice sweetened. And I popped them out of the pan, and I just thought, oh, they look like donuts. And 2 months later, I get a call for a movie with Danny DeVito when they want a donut that's not fried and doesn't have sugar in it. And not only did I sell like 100 dozen to the movie, I got tons of press and it became one of our best products. And they got nicknamed faux nuts, not donuts, but faux nuts. So
I
it's
love that.
it's
Yeah,
those
cool.
accidents or
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
just unforeseen thing that are maybe a byproduct of your process that end up being a star in their own right. So it just dawned on
totally.
me, Hannah, why I like that story so much.
Yeah, and I haven't heard that story of yours.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And
Yeah.
part of me is like the universe is it's such a gift to have those little experiences where it's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
this really worked out.
There's got
Yeah.
to be a thing like the corner of the granola, Michelle, is like so super crispy that people just want to go bite that as when every batch comes. Or there's got to be some little thing that the people that work there know and love.
For us, it's actually our granola bar bites.
Okay.
So we make granola bars, we hand cut them, and then we take all the leftovers and put them into a bag. And people just go, we sell out of them every time we make a batch of bars, like pretty
Oh,
quickly. I think that's one of the things, but I love that value added of the bacon. And then for you, the donuts and
yeah.
those I had this thing where I firmly believe that if you live in your truth and in presence, that the most magical things happen. I just really like these little things, like putting the granola bar bites into a bag and being like, I don't know what to do with these, but I'm not throwing them out.
Mhm.
Our
Yeah.
ingredients are too expensive. I think that's super cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that like makes a business so unique, and also like you're just it's fun, right? Like finding those things is fun.
Mhm.
Nice. Yeah, actually, somebody did years later totally run with my concept. They changed the spelling and they opened a bakery just called Fonut. I
Yeah.
I already lived in the Bay Area by then, but it was just like, yeah, come up with a good idea and somebody's going to rip it off.
Oh yeah. They'll
Always,
find it.
always.
So, okay, I hate to say goodbye, but we have to sort of start to wind down.
Sure.
I want to ask you the question. Oh, and I want to talk briefly about Tara because I we were talking about you getting started. I happen to know that the city of Pittsburgh was very supportive of her venture. So
Yeah.
she had done a very good job of encapsulating her plan, and not only meeting with the landlord but the city of Pittsburgh, and she just got this primo location. So it speaks to her integrity in planning and then executing that vision. Because when you present something well, that people can like see it and feel it and taste it, they want to support it.
Yeah.
And that was, I know that was integral, at least in getting her started.
No, it's smart to get the city involved. It
From
really
Yeah.
then on, it's all her and her team. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hannah, what do you do to avoid burnout?
Oh gosh. Um, my both my parents were entrepreneurs, so growing up I was around it, and it was only now that my dad, who's retired, I really listened to his advice, and he's like, he had a heart attack, he was very stressed. He's like, you don't get your health back. Like you don't get this back. Now he's retired. He's like, now I'm focused on my health. He's like, don't be like me."
Yeah.
So, I make sure I get my 10 minutes of meditation in the morning. You know, I just read Atomic Habits, so I'm really into this like 1% better every day.
It's so
Um,
good.
it's so good. I actually avoided it because I was like, I'm not ready to like know because I know what I have to do. And anyway, I finished it recently. So yeah, taking care of my health has been like a focus as I'm like sick, but has been a real focus because yeah, I'm getting
What
older.
was that? Was that a book? What was that book?
Oh, Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habit. That was okay. That's part two. Part two of avoiding burnout is what can you recommend us? Books,
Oh my God.
podcasts, teacher, whatever it is, because I like to collect. So Atomic Habits. It's a
Atomic
book.
Habits. Yep, it's a
Okay.
book.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's an extra section on, how to apply it in business,
Uh,
but incredible principles for everyone, for kids, even if, for parents. And it's how to just do 1% better. And instead of focusing on the goal, focusing on
sure.
the systems, which is,
Uh,
yeah, running to finish a half marathon, but now your half marathon's done and you stop running. It's like, you know, my sister did 75 hard, and we now talk about just doing forever medium. I don't know if you've heard 75 hard. It's like
Yeah.
a
It's really
fitness
hard.
thing, and you have to read all these pages, and you have to work out twice a day, and you have to drink a gallon of water and it's like 75 extremely hard just to end and go on, with maybe go back to your bad habits, or it's forever medium, forever
Yeah.
doing it medium. And
I
that's
love
sort
that.
of what I'm living by right now, is that 1% better every day. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah, wow, that I can't. That's wise of your father. My grandfathers on both sides of my parents and my uncle on my mother's side all died young, and they had family businesses. And
He
the
he was so stressed growing up. I
yeah,
mean,
I hope that this generation of entrepreneurs in general, and especially women, know how to come up with that balance. Okay, Michelle, your turn. What do you do to avoid burnout?
I throw myself in the ocean.
no, I wish I could surf with you. That sounds amazing.
It's so fun. No, I set boundaries for myself. Like, this, I don't work on weekends.
Right.
I just made sure that I set these boundaries because before I was just working a lot and the pandemic hit and then I got really sick in 2021 and I was like, all this stress and everything just kind of came out of me. So now I really focus on, like, this morning I got up at 5:30. I had talked to a friend over the weekend and I was like, "Do you want to go for like an she has kids. I don't have kids, but she has kids and I was like, "Do you want to go for a walk at like 5:45 in the morning?" So we went for a beautiful stroll on the beach at 5:45 with the stars and just
Nice.
those kind of magical moments that we forget about. And I just started bike commuting. So now I have that time in the morning before I go to work, the 45 minutes it takes me to get there, just to myself. I don't have to worry about anything else. And I think I do have to worry about traffic and pay attention, but it's different than being in a car because it's like I get to go through Golden Gate Park while the sun is rising. And then when I come home, I stop at the beach and watch the sunset, and I think those are things like being in nature, surrounding yourself with a really amazing group of people who are not only supportive, but will hold you up and will, like, even if you say the same thing over and over again, will still love you and still take care of you, like, oh my God, this business, and we'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I think we talk in circles a lot as entrepreneurs. Yeah, I think that's how I avoid burnout now. And I think it's okay to be burned out. And it's okay to it is. It's
From time to
okay.
time.
Yeah, but it's okay to be
Constant,
burned
right?
out and it's okay to acknowledge it and
Okay.
then figure out a way out of it. I think when we don't give ourselves permission to be sad, to be angry, to be hurt, to be burnt out, I
Okay.
think we're missing a whole aspect of learning and picking ourselves up off of the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your recommended books, teachers, or podcast? You don't have to do all three, or you can.
um
What rises to the top?
I really, really love the book, and it's kind of completely unrelated, but it's called Why We Swim by Bonnie Sue. And I think it's really an incredible book to read. Um, I also, for business, not just for burnout, but for business, I really love Gino Wickman, Traction. I think when I read that book, it really changed the way that I looked at my business. It's got a whole EOS model and a vision. And it's part of, like, the reason why I think that I don't get as burned out is because I have goals that I have every single day. Every time I sit at my desk, there's three things that I have to get done that day that moves me closer to my
Mm,
goal or to my vision of what I'm looking to do for that next year. And it's okay if I put it on there every single quarter. And I think also giving myself that grace that I'm not going to be able to get everything done every single time that I say that I'm going to get it done because something inevitably happens.
yeah, I'm taking in that it seems like modern day philosophy is break it down into things manageable. Don't
Yes.
give yourself this perfection at all costs role model or anything.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you all three. Thank you to Tara. And
Yeah.
thank you to you both. This has been another Food Foundry speaker series, and it's just been my delight to speak to Michelle Pusateri of Nana Joe's, Hannah Perry of Floof Cotton Candy, and Tara Sanders of Dále Vino Wine Bar in Pittsburgh. Thank you all, and we'll be in touch, I'm sure.